Top 4 hardest violin bowing techniques. If we haven't met, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a violinist and teacher. I've been playing the violin for over 20 years. I have my bachelor's and master's degrees in violin performance, and I am Suzuki trained. If you're enjoying my videos, please just take a quick second and make sure you're subscribed to my channel. It really helps me out, and it's totally free. And if you're interested in working with me, you can check the description for a private lesson application. I teach one-on-one online private lessons, as well as my self-paced online learning program, Learn Violin Online. In this video, I'll be going over the top 4 hardest violin bowing techniques in my opinion. Coming in at number 4, we have sautille. So sautille is a bow stroke that I was personally confused about for a very long time because no one really explained it to me properly. And actually, I only got clear on what exactly sautille is and how to do it when I was doing my Suzuki Book 1 training, which I think is a bit ironic if you think about it. Sautille is a bow stroke where your bow hair stays completely on the string, but your stick bounces up and down. Therefore, it sounds like your bow is bouncing off the string. It has that bouncy sound like a spiccato does, but again, the hair is not actually leaving the string. The reason why this bow stroke is so difficult is because it requires you to stay completely relaxed. If you have any tension in your shoulder, in your upper arm, in your fingers, in your wrist, sautille will not work properly. Another thing that makes sautille tricky is that the movement is a bit more vertical than horizontal. So typically when we're bowing, we bow like this, right? It's a bit more of a horizontal movement. But with sautille, your hand, or your fingers, I guess I should say, go more up and down. So as you could see from that close up, my bow hair was not actually leaving the string. It was just my stick that was bouncing, which again gives it that bouncy vibe, makes it sound like it's bouncing when it's really not. Next, we have up and down bow staccato. So this is obviously essentially the same bow stroke, just in one direction or another. And typically down bow staccato is harder than up bow staccato. At least for me personally, the way that you do them is primarily the same. So up or down bow staccato in itself is not the hardest thing in the world. Actually, the first time that up bow staccato is introduced is in Suzuki Book 1 with minuets. So I just did 2 notes that are up bow and they're staccato, so technically I did up bow staccato. And up bow staccato is actually pretty well developed throughout the Suzuki repertoire. We have 4 notes in Suzuki Book 2 in the Beethoven minuet, and then country dance I believe has 32 in one bow. The way that you do up bow staccato is by pinching or grabbing the string with your index finger. So at the beginning of the stroke, you are going to press down with your index finger, or like I said, pinch the string, and then as soon as you draw the bow, you're going to release that pressure. This creates a accent at the beginning of the note, but a clear ringing sound at the end of the note. So you press and then you release. Press, release, press, release, press, release. The reason why up bow staccato makes my list is because in advanced repertoire, there are way more than 32 notes on one bow. So it's extremely fast. You have to be doing this pressing and releasing or pinching and releasing multiple times very quickly. And it's very easy for your hand to cramp up and stiffen up, or it is at least for me. Now the good thing with up or down bow staccato is it's not all that common. Sure, there are notable passages of it and notable pieces of it, but it's not the most common thing in the world. I remember in college hearing a teacher say one time, like up bow staccato is kind of one of those things where either you have it or you don't, and if you don't have it, then you just avoid those pieces that use a lot of it. next up, we have flying staccato. So flying staccato is very similar to up and down bow staccato. You're playing multiple notes on one bow. But as the term flying implies, you are coming off the string in between each. So obviously this adds another layer of difficulty because one, you have to control the height of your bounce. If you bounce too high, it's likely going to be too slow, and you always run the risk of a crash landing, so to speak. But then if you don't bounce high enough, then you can't really tell you're bouncing, and then it's not really flying staccato. And just in general, when you're playing off the string, it's more difficult to control. Again, flying staccato is not super popular in repertoire, so you could easily get away with avoiding it. And the last one on my list is ricochet. So ricochet is a passive bow stroke, which means that you, the player, are really doing very little to make your bow bounce. It's more so that the bow is really just doing all of the work on its own, and you're really doing next to nothing. You're just trying to stay out of its way, if you know what I mean. So obviously it goes without saying you have to be, again, extremely relaxed with all of these bow strokes, but definitely ricochet. So to perform ricochet, essentially what you do is throw your bow onto the string. So you provide that first impulse of the ricochet, and it does need to be pretty strong in order for the ricochet to happen. And then once you throw the bow, then you need to let it do its thing. You need to let it bounce on its own. You throw and then allow it to ricochet, to bounce. It's easier to do this in the upper half of the bow. The first time I was introduced to ricochet was in Paganini 9. The second half of it has some ricochet, and to be honest, that wasn't like too horrible for me. The passage that I definitely struggled the most with for ricochet is in the cadenza of the Mendelssohn. There's something about keeping the bow bouncing while also crossing all four strings that's extremely difficult. But again, it is all about creating that first impulse, so throwing the bow and then allowing it to naturally ricochet or to naturally bounce for the rest of the stroke. So there you have it. Those are the top 4 hardest bow strokes in my opinion. Do you agree? Did I miss one that you think is extremely difficult? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure you're subscribed before you go.